Today we need to get into people talking about Jimin's new song Slow Dance and it being released and all of that stuff. We also have some pictures that have gone viral and we need to get into that. And then we have a petition being made and a lot of legal action. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave. Decide hate it or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Make sure you join us fangirling on Patreon with some free content on Saturdays now, and let's go. There's a lot of stuff going on with Scooter Braun, and these are things that we all definitely have to talk about today. If you're unaware of what's going on with Scooter Braun, there is a lot of controversy with him. There have been many accusations going around, and what K-pop fans love to do is throw out as much as they can in hopes that one of those awful things will actually stick and go viral and make people hate him. Which of course is very interesting to me because while some of those awful things either could be real or not, I don't know. It's interesting that these things are never brought up until one thing annoys someone. So this was never brought up, this was never an issue until some BTS fans felt jealous that Scooter was even working with the BTS members and then decided to throw spaghetti at a wall and see what sticks. But they were never against the issue in general. So there is a lot of controversy around him. And then recently he posted something that I believe it was on Instagram where he talked about how he was going to be retiring from the industry and essentially focusing full time with the label and no longer doing artist management, I believe. So this caused a huge uproar online because people were very unhappy with him even doing part-time as CEO of the label, and now he is full-time at the label. Now people felt like their complaints and their concerns were never addressed or even listened to. I agree, this is correct. When concerns don't make a lot of sense, they do tend to not get listened to. And I would prefer it to be this way because if they were to address and were to change every single thing that the community gets so upset about, they would be changing things constantly. It's one thing if it's a small thing like a release or something that doesn't really take that much effort, but to request a change of their entire staff, their entire business model is the fandom going way too far. Now, since this happened and it was really put into the community spaces that the label does not care about what their complaint is, they've made even more noise and decided to get more angry. The anger consists of them talking about wanting Scooter to leave the label and creating more and more petitions. I think there were probably about 5 that I had even seen that were completely new petitions that didn't exist before, so I thought that this was very interesting and I think the community is now even more angry. The really interesting thing I think about this is just how crazy this all is. Albert Einstein defines crazy or insanity as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. This is exactly what is going on here. It's not like the protest or the anger that the community has towards Scooter Braun is something that didn't make a lot of noise before. This was so big, they sent billboard trucks, it was all over the internet. People even decided to not buy albums. People were even buying albums and then requesting a refund, and the reason they would put in would be something like, I'm not supporting Zionists or whatever. So yeah, the label is very much aware of this, and in any way the community can make noise and get this message to the label, the community has done that already. And the label is actively saying that this is ridiculous and they do not want to change this because they're not responding. At least that's my interpretation of it, and I agree with that. I have seen such wild accusations online, such as that Scooter Braun is part of the label for clout, that he is choosing to be part of the label so he can build his reputation by clinging on to other big name artists. Of course, not that any of these people saying this actually care about Scooter, but Scooter has been the catalyst for a lot of different artists. Justin Bieber was, I guess, semi-big on YouTube before Scooter Braun found him, but then Scooter Braun was the one that really took his career to the next level. And then you can say that about several of the other artists that he has worked with as well. So who is really using who for clout in this case? And who actually has it? Is it the artist or is it the person that is giving the artist the platform? Of course, you have artists like JK who was big before meeting Scooter Braun, but now has gone even bigger due to the Western platform that Scooter Braun is able to offer. So these accusations, they always make very little sense, and it's hard to find actual real reasons when I look behind these protests. Of course, it's not just all bad news that's been going around lately. There's been a lot of fun and cute things as well, and one of them being what happened with Megan Thee Stallion at a recent concert. So if you're not aware about this, this is very cute. This was very fun. I definitely want to talk about it. Apparently during one of her concerts, she ended up holding a picture of her and all of the BTS members, and she kind of walked around with that picture. Now, I don't entirely know if she created that picture or if she had gotten it from a fan that came in and handed it to her, but either way, it was very cute to see her having fun with it and being proud that she had that interaction with BTS. This ended up going semi-viral within the community because people were very excited that she not only flaunted this during her concert, but that this was something that she cared about or she was even very excited about and was remembering and looking back on it fondly. Of course, you do have to remember that the story of how the collaboration even happened, which was that Megan was fighting for this. She was trying to get her label to agree to doing the remix, and the label initially didn't want her to do it. So of course she is definitely proud of doing it, as she ended up getting what she wanted to do, and she ended up creating something very good. There's really nothing to not be proud of. When I see things like this, what tends to annoy me is that people don't tend to look at it that way. They don't tend to look at it as she got what she wanted and she worked really hard and she did the collaboration. People are saying that she should be very proud that she even got the opportunity to meet BTS. And while BTS is a great group and a great group of men to meet, that's not an accomplishment that I think most celebrities are going to have, especially celebrities like Megan that are that famous. Megan could have said the exact same thing, which is that BTS should feel lucky to meet her, and that would still apply too, because they're both famous but in different ways. Megan definitely would represent a more Western kind of break into the industry, i.e. anyone who probably works with Megan at that point would have an in to the Western industry, and those who work with BTS would have access to the most powerful fandom in the world. There's always some sort of backlash when members of BTS work with someone, or even if someone associates themselves with BTS. And apparently we've seen that with Jimin and his new release. If you're not aware, Jimin is releasing something and it's very exciting. People are very excited to hear of a lot of new music, and apparently it's not just new music, there will be a music video as well. One of the first songs that I think will be released is called Slow Dance, and it is with Sofia Carson. There wasn't much that was put out about this, and when a lot of people who were following Sofia noticed on her story that she posted something that said slow dance and then said that it was featuring her, and then she even wrote a little note saying that she can't wait to slow dance with Jimin, people assumed that there was a collaboration happening. There was a lot of backlash about this, and I think it was just the community being very jealous that she was meeting BTS. So the community obviously sees BTS as so much better than everyone else, so much so that they see Western celebrities as like your everyday non-celebrity people compared to BTS. And really, most of these people have potentially been in the industry just as long as BTS has, and they've worked really hard as well. I think what triggered a lot of people was that the quote that was in the Instagram story where Sofia said that she would love to slow dance with Jimin, people are imagining a scene in which she might be slow dancing with Jimin, or even a scene in which she could potentially be getting more romantic with Jimin. And I don't think people are very happy about that, to the point where some people in the community were bringing up things that were very strange. Strange things like her family background and where her family is from, and just a bunch of weird random things that are just speculation. People were saying things like her family was involved in trafficking and those sorts of things, and I hadn't seen any real evidence other than people just making assumptions about those things. But do you really think that someone who is a celebrity, someone who has worked really hard to try to get famous, and be on TV, like how did they, like they probably had to audition for it and all of those things, would have an actual family in which they did those things? Like the family and her would then be like aware that one day it would come out and it would make her look bad. Like they probably would have known that. And chances are, if that was the case, then she would probably never have chosen to get famous. And so the attack that the community tends to make on anyone that works with the BTS members is kind of insane to me. I think it's very performative. I do not think they actually feel that way, and I feel like they're just jumping on things because the rest of the community is, and then on top of that I feel like they're jumping on things just because they're angry that they're not getting those opportunities to do anything with BTS. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks, just leave a comment right here. Love you, bye.